Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Nancy. So I remember watching my oldest daughter in a group setting one time where everybody was introducing themselves, and in that moment everything shifted. When it came to her, she froze. You could see the panic all over her face. Her body became so tense. She just wanted to disappear. She just wanted the ground to swallow her up. And as I watched her, something hit me. I knew exactly what she was feeling, because for many years I struggled with the same thing. Just the thought of speaking in front of people terrified me. It could have been just as simple as introduce yourself, just tell us your name, that's it. My legs would shake, my palms would sweat, my heart would beat out of my chest. And I'm not just talking about like ordinary nervousness here, like stage fright, that people experience once in a while. This felt deeper than that. It felt like something inside me was fighting to stay hidden. And looking back, I realized it wasn't really about introducing myself. It was about what happened inside me whenever attention was directed toward me. For some people, those reactions can be connected to insecurity. For others, it can be connected to rejection, maybe criticism, childhood trauma, or years of feeling unseen, unheard, or not good enough. It can be just as simple as that. Whatever the root may be, the reaction is often much bigger than the situation itself. And that's what made watching my daughter so difficult. I wasn't simply watching a child who felt nervous. I was watching someone I loved struggle with something that looked painfully familiar. And it made me ask myself some difficult questions. How much of what I was seeing was simply her personality? How much of it was something she had picked up from watching me? And like how much of the things I struggle with as a parent quietly showed up or shows up in my children. Have you ever experienced that? Have you ever looked at your child and recognized a fear, insecurity, or struggles that you once battled yourself? And if you have, what did you do? Was it painful? How painful was that realization? And let me just be clear, I am not saying every struggle our children have comes from us as parents. That's not what I'm saying at all. I am simply sharing my experience in the hope that another parent, maybe like me, might find encouragement in it. Because as I became more intentional in my parenting, I started noticing other patterns that felt familiar. Fear was one of them, but it wasn't the only one. I also noticed hesitation. I noticed a tendency to follow instead of leading. I noticed attachment issues. If they liked a particular person or a thing, they would become deeply attached and struggle to let go. They resisted change and found it difficult to try new things. I noticed moments where independence seemed difficult. There were times when confidence was also lacking. They doubted their ability to do things on their own. And there were many other little things too, more than I can list in one video, but those were some of the patterns that stood out to me. And honestly, that was one of the hardest parts of parenting, watching those weaknesses in me play out. You know, when you begin to see some of your weaknesses, fears, or unhealthy patterns reflected in your children, your first instinct as a parent is to fix it. You want to protect them. You want to remove every obstacle in the way. You want to straighten every crooked path before they have to walk in it. But what God began to teach me is I couldn't help my children overcome what I was still carrying myself. The work had to start within myself. I had to confront my fears. I had to acknowledge my insecurities. I had to stop pretending that the problem was only outside of me. Am I completely healed? No. Am I a perfect parent now? Absolutely not. I'm still learning. I am still growing. I am still discovering some new things. I am still discovering areas where God is working on me. But awareness changed everything. I started catching myself in moments where I was projecting my fears onto my children. I would react to something they were doing and then have to stop and ask myself, is this really about them or is this about me? The question became a turning point, and this comes with a lot of failures. Because if I didn't want my children carrying the weight of my insecurities, then I had to stop placing that weight on them, which this was so hard to do. As I began doing it though, began that work, it became easier to help my children navigate their own challenges. Not perfectly, not overnight, but with more wisdom and more intention. Some situations are still difficult, especially with my older children. There are habits and patterns that have existed for years and years. And with my younger one, it's a little easier to recognize where something begins and it's easier to redirect it because I'm more intentional. Now, instead of immediately reacting, I ask different questions. That's something I learned. Where did this start? What's really happening beneath the behavior? What response will produce the healthiest outcome? These are the questions I'll ask myself. And those questions have changed the way I parent, really. And if there's one thing this journey of parenting has taught me, it's that transformation in our children often begins with transformation in us. And sometimes what shows up in our children isn't just a behavior to correct. Sometimes it's an invitation for us to pay attention to areas where healing is still needed, both for them and for us. I have shared all of this because parenting comes with habits. and mindsets and patterns that can be difficult to break. I mean, difficult to break, because some were passed on to us, some were formed through pain, some were born out of fear. My own background was that of a very strict helicopter parent, and while I was doing the best I knew how to do, I have learned that good intentions don't always produce healthy results, and that is painful to say. Growth requires humility, and it requires learning again and again. It requires being willing to admit when we don't know what we are doing. And I certainly didn't know what I was doing. A lot of times I didn't know what I was doing. And to be honest, there are still situations where I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, what am I doing, Lord? What can I do? There have been moments when I have felt overwhelmed, discouraged, and ready to give up because I couldn't see a way forward. But one of the greatest lessons I have learned is that parenting was never meant to be done alone. God's grace has carried me through moments where I had no answers. And whenever wisdom was lacking, which I lacked wisdom a lot, I learned to seek it. Sometimes through prayer, sometimes through books, sometimes through groaning, sometimes through research, sometimes through learning from other parents who had already walked the road I was on. It's been difficult. And if you are watching this and you are not happy with how things are going right now, whether your children are young or grown, I want to encourage you not to lose hope. Things can change. Patterns can be broken. Healing can happen. Growth is still possible, even if it doesn't look like it right now. I'm telling you, it's possible. You don't need to have all the answers today. You just need to be willing to learn, willing to grow, willing to let God guide you through the process. And at the end of the day, most of us want the same thing, really. We want our children to do better than we did. We want them to be healthy, secure, confident, and loved. We want to create an environment where they can thrive. That's why I'm sharing my journey. Not because I have all the answers. I really don't. I am still searching for some of the answers of what's going on in my life right now. But because maybe something I have learned can help another parent along the way. And if this resonated with you, let me know. Have you ever recognized something in your child that made you reflect on your own journey? I would love to hear how you go about it. How are you going about the situation? But most importantly, let's just know that God is able. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for watching. You have a beautiful, wonderful week. I will see you in my next video. Bye.